Yeah, they go figure the Packers can. Uh, Now, what a lot of people would consider would be the divisional round matchup, which would be Carolina versus Seattle. Those two teams did play each other week 6. Carolina came out on top 27-23, but you still got to think that was not the Seattle team playing at their absolute best. And I see we do have a Carolina fan in here. Uh, you, you have a lot of right to be worried about the Seattle Seahawks. They are playing top football, looking to get into their third consecutive Super Bowl. It's They know what it takes. They know what they have to do. And they are going to be a very, very tough test. If that Carolina Seattle game is not the best game in the playoffs, I couldn't tell you what would be.
And you know what? I'm gonna state this, and I know people are not gonna agree with me by any means necessary, but it's Seattle is a great defense, they're a great team. Russell Wilson, the way he's playing, he's phenomenal. Not elite yet, which is what people may disagree
Please
with me
tell
on.
me you and me are not going to start with Russell Wilson again.
No, no, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll let everybody else discuss it, but I'm going to leave that statement as it stands. You know, and by that reason, I don't think that he's that they granted 3 Super Bowls in a row. I'll give him all the credit in that role, but you also have a great coach in Pete Carroll, a great defense. The Legion of Boom is back.
Who flopped in the NFL once?
Well, we're not talking about that. He's on a team now that's been 2 years already. It's you have to wonder if they will go all the way. It's not so much their lack of skill or all the skill they have. It's the NFC is so tough this season with Arizona playing the way they've been playing, although yesterday didn't show for it. Panthers being 15-1. It's it's going to be tough. Granted, do I think they can get there? Hell yeah, they can. But not without a fight.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Russell Wilson is definitely elite. That's my question in my mind. There's no question about that. But this Seahawks team, like I said, after the bye week, been they're playing out of their mind. I mean, they got Cam Chancellor back after the bye, or they got Cam Chancellor back earlier in the season, and ever since then, this defense has, they've improved immensely from where they were at the beginning of the season, and they just have not stopped going up. This defense, it might be one of the best in the league, obviously, with when you got Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. I mean, this defense, it is the focal point of the Seahawks, but you might want to, you can't count out the Seahawks offense. It's not just the offense is being led by the defense. This offense is able to hold its own, and they can they might shock some people with Russell Wilson, like I said, playing unbelievably with Doug Baldwin, and Russell Wilson have some telekinetic connection or something, because there's no way that two regular players would play like this. But against the Panthers, I don't. If they get to that point, it'll be a tough road, and it'll be a well thought out game since their last game in Week 6. And honestly, the Seahawks might be able to. I'd say you can flip a coin and decide that game. It's so close.
Now, I would have to call Pittsburgh Cincinnati the closest game to call out of this first week. No word yet on what we're going to get, and whether it's Andy Dalton or whether it's going to be Andy Dalton or if it's going to be AJ McCarron. I I want to say I trust AJ McCarron. McCarron has experience in big game situations, having played for Alabama, having played for national titles. He has not been on this big a stage in the NFL yet. He finished his 3 starts. He finished fantastic. The the Bengals didn't plummet like many people probably thought they would have. They stuck right there, tied for the best record in the AFC. That being said, Pittsburgh is a very, very hot team, and even in Cincinnati, I see no problem. I see Pittsburgh having very little problem getting through And Water, you're right. McCarron has AJ Creed, but Roethlisberger has Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, the best, probably the best receiver in the league. I I do see Pittsburgh winning this game, but not by much. This one will probably be a last-second field goal.
All right, let me ask you this question: Do you, with Andy Dalton's playoff record, it's atrocious, and do you
Try the
trust?
Bengals playoff record.
Well, especially Andy Dalton, the Bengals, but let's focus on Andy Dalton here. Do you trust Andy Dalton with his playoff record? Do you start him if he's healthy, or do you try AJ McCarron and see, is it really Andy Dalton? Can you just not perform on the big stage, or is or do you trust your gut and go with Andy Dalton there?
Well, Dalton got them to what was it, 12-0 before they finally lost to who?
Texans.
Pittsburgh.
Texans.
No, oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. They lost. He got hurt in the Pittsburgh game. I'm sorry. Um, I would have to go with McCarron because McCarron one has played. He's got the quote unquote hot hand right now, and it's not like he's going. It's one of the very few teams he's played already, so he could. We'll see if the kid can learn by playing a team again.
Wow, that's. I don't know if I would go as far to say that I would start AJ McCarron over Andy Dalton, who has played unbelievably this year. But I mean, like you said, the hot hand is AJ McCarron right now. But you got to think that Andy Dalton, he's not. He got you to I think you said 12-0 or whatever it was until losing to the Texans. He got you there, and I don't know if you would. I don't know if you would start AJ McCarron over Andy Dalton there in that aspect, just because of what he's done this season.
I mean, if he's injured, if he's injured, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Dalton, they said he didn't need surgery, and we haven't heard a word about him since. There's nothing on whether or not he's going to play. So, to be honest, I would just stick with McCarron. I mean, we've seen backups come in before and make a big statement. Try Tom Brady.
So, are you saying that you're comparing AJ McCarron to Tom Brady here?
Not saying that he's going to be Tom Brady.
All right. Just checking. I mean,
no. I am saying we have seen backups come in and make it big.
Yeah. So I mean, it'll be a close game, like you said, and I think if Andy Dalton is starting, I think the Bengals get the win. If AJ McCarron is starting, I think the Steelers will walk out of that game with a win.
And I'm gonna bring this up. I just saw someone say before I got a chance to. What about the coach? The coach is the one making the decisions on the field. With that being stated, can you really put all the games that have been lost in the playoffs on Andy Dalton, or if you put AJ McCarron in, are you going to put him on those two? And are you going to put it on the guy who's been from the start, Marvin Lewis, the head coach of Cincinnati Bengals? You have to put it on him. It's not about quarterbacks you have in. Trust me, if you have a quarterback with a great system, you're gonna do just fine. I personally, in the whole regards to the quarterback issue, I would stay with Andy Dalton personally. You have a guy who's played the game more than AJ McCarron. AJ McCarron played in college, on the big stage in college. Students, athletes who either make it or don't make it.
He hasn't had a chance to see. He hasn't gotten a chance to see what he could do in the NFL because he's been sitting behind Dalton. We didn't know Rodgers was going to be this good because he was sitting behind Brett Favre all those years.
Yeah, but if you look at it, Rodgers had then after the playoffs, he had a whole season to develop. AJ McCarron's had 3 games. You can't put that much pressure on a guy who's played 3 games out of the 16-game season. You can't put that much.
He hasn't been with the team all year. He doesn't know the playbook.
I'm not saying he does.
Chemistry with these guys?
No, I'm not saying that. But game time experience. There's a whole difference between being a backup and being a
Agreed.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to get at. Is that so far that I would rather have Andy Dalton in there simply because he's had the experience in game experience when it comes to playoffs. Granted, a lot of young quarterbacks, they have to hit the playoffs in order to get that experience. But I'm thinking right now, you stick with what you know. We know that Andy Dalton's a better quarterback this year than he's been in other years. And when you got receivers like AJ Green and all these other, you have that receiver, you're going to have the guy who he's used to throwing to. The two guys have to, adjust. And hence, that's why I'm saying go with Dalton for this. And my last statement to that is don't put it on the quarterbacks, put it on the head coach. You also have a running game with Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill, which has been shown to improving this season, which is why that it's going to go back and forth. However, Pittsburgh just lost the running game. I think it's going to go down to a nail biter, but honestly, it's probably going to go Pittsburgh way. It's going to go Pittsburgh.
Hey, I think I don't know I don't know what you said, Nick, but I believe we all agree that it will go Pittsburgh's way. Yes. Okay, so we agree on who's going to win.